Alright there everyone, we are back tonight. Well, it's not tonight, it's this afternoon on the United Spotlight to talk about Man United after 2 victories, which is unheard of. I can't be too negative today. The only thing I can be negative about is I'm on a drive home from work for an hour. It's sunny and my air conditioning's not working. So if I get a bit sweaty, that's the way it goes. But let's talk about a couple of games in the Southampton game, the Barnsley game. Ugarte coming in, Eriksen playing well in both games. You lot, tell me what you think. You can't complain too much, can you? I mean, the first 25-30 minutes against Southampton was diabolical in my opinion. It was dreadful until Onana saved a penalty. And then after that, we turned it on for 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever. The last 15-20 minutes of the first half and 10 minutes of the second half. Game was gone. And after that, it became a bit of a bore fest, didn't it, really? I mean, the second half against Southampton was like, in not comparing us to City, but once City go 2-3-0 up, and it's just boring, the game's over, innit? It was over. The game against Barnsley, we were never losing that game. People were getting uppity about who's going to start, drop him, start him, whatever. We were never losing that game. I think if there's one thing I can take as a positive of United this season, and I have been critical of them, is even though we've lost a couple of games, I do think there is a bit of progression. We do seem to be a little bit more connected up front, even though we're not scoring a lot of goals bar the last couple of games versus poor opposition. Ugarte's obviously in there now. We'll see what Ugarte's about in the next 3 or 4 games. 20 minutes versus Southampton and an hour or so versus Barnsley is not what you can judge whether Ugarte is going to be the player we want him to be or not. Palace is a huge test, and I think it's FC 20 in it, and then Spurs and Villa. They're the tests for Ugarte and whether the team can push on from 2 victories. It's hard to talk about these games because you can't be overly positive, even though we've scored plenty of goals. We've looked decent against Barnsley, but they're a League One side. We were alright versus Southampton, who were again basically a championship team who look like they're going to go straight back down. But we have to take the positives from it. We've moaned about not scoring goals. We've scored 10 goals in 2 games. Not conceded. Eriksen's come in and played versus Southampton. I think he was an 8 against Southampton from what I remember. Was he? I can't remember. Or was he 10? We had a decent game against Southampton. He come and played 10 for a bit against Barnsley and then dropped into the 8 later on when Bruno come on. There's been a lot of debate about who people would start in midfield against Crystal Palace. For me, I would start Ugarte because I think we need to see what he's like against a decent team. And I'd probably start Eriksen at 10 and Mainu. And yes, I'm leaving Bruno Fernandes out. There's been a lot of talk on other channels about Bruno Fernandes over the last week or so, and I just want to touch on this a little bit because I go on a lot of other channels, I speak in the comments, but it's hard to get your point over in a 100-letter comment. I just want to put my point over again about Bruno because I am negative about him a lot. One, I like Bruno Fernandes, his work rate, his ethic for the club, I don't think can be questioned. I think he does love the club. He wants the best for the club. None of that I have any problem with. I don't even care about his petulance. A lot of people moan about his petulance. He just wants to win, and if he moans about it, he moans about it. I'm not bothered. But the problem I have with Bruno is a lot of people say that we are a side that doesn't create without Bruno. We're a side that's way worse without Bruno. Well, we've been smashed numerous times by 4, 5, whatever, with Bruno in the team. Also, I would like to say, when was the last time Bruno turned up in a big match and stamped his authority on a game? Because I can't remember the last time it happened. And I personally think the fan base has a love for Bruno Fernandes, and the history of Bruno Fernandes' first 2 or 3 years for us are tainting the more recent reality of Fernandes' performances. I'm trying to do this in a neutral way and not be too opinionated about my opinion on Bruno. There was a segment on another channel, a big one, where somebody said that Bruno Fernandes, nothing happens for us without Bruno Fernandes. And I think that in the last 3 seasons, he said he got 8 assists last year, 6 the year before, and something like 6 or 8 the year before that. We'd scored 57 or 58 goals in those 3 seasons, and 6 to 8 of them were set up by Bruno. He then went on to say that people from relegation teams have those kind of statistics. I think the Luton top assister had 8. It was like Burnley's top had 6, and then the other team that went down, I can't remember who it is now, had like 4. So the numbers are around the same. So as a team, is Bruno as vital as we think he is? And this is what I've been saying the whole time. That it's not that I dislike Fernandes, it's not that I don't think he's a good player, but I don't think he's a player that suits our current team. He was bought 6-7 years ago now. Solskjaer built a team round him that was a counter-attacking based team that suits Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes does not suit an intricate, possession-based, high-press team, in my opinion. I know other people think that it's Erik ten Hag's tactics that are making Bruno play like he is, and to some extent I do agree. He's almost played like a second striker, not a 10. To me, I think if Erik ten Hag tweaked the middle 3 to just be a flat midfield 3 and Bruno was 5 to 10 yards deeper, he'd look better. It's probably a bit of both, but I'll say this, and I've said it many more times, I think he's poor in the press. Running around after defenders is not pressing. Pressing is when you press as a front 4 or 5, not running around on your own chasing people, which Bruno does all the time, and one pass takes 4 or 5 of our players out of the game because of that. Because it's straight through the middle where Bruno would be, the straight into Casemiro, Mainu, and it'll be the same with Ugarte. And Ugarte might be better at winning the ball back, but while we're playing this formation, we will still be turned over on the flip of a coin. And can Ugarte deflect that and get us back up the pitch without conceding shots and goals so much, or them getting to our back 4? And that's the hope for Ugarte, obviously. Like I said earlier in the video, we need to know whether he can do it versus top opposition before we say Ugarte's the saviour. But back onto Bruno, like I say, I just think, and there's a lot of, going back to the point I originally made where I was saying people say that he without him, we are not the team we are when he plays. And everyone goes, well, he didn't play against that Palace game and we got battered. Yeah, one game. And we've been battered in multiple games when he has played. One game is not enough of a sample size without Bruno Fernandes to say if we're a better team or not. One game isn't enough. If we played 4, 5, 6 games without Bruno Fernandes and Eriksen or Xerxes or Ahmad played at 10, do you think we would be a better side in the final third? And I'm talking about good opposition here, not Barnsley and Southampton. Palace onwards. Would we keep the ball better with Bruno out of the team, someone else at 10, and probably Ahmad on the right? And if we had Xerxes up front, Ahmad on the right, probably Mount at 10 or Eriksen at 10, and then you could have Garnacho or Rashford on the left as the flair player, I think you would see us have way, way, way more possession in the final third. And based on possession in the final third, you'll create more chances, or as many chances at least, than you do passing it to one player who every 1 in 10 Hollywood passes creates a chance. Because you're in their final third for way more of the game, you create chances, and better chances. A lot of Bruno's chances are a flick ball over the top, a knocked ball into the box, a ball out wide that's smashed in. When do we ever create sustained chances on the edge of the opposition's box like City, Arsenal, Liverpool do, where we recycle the ball and get sweaty pullback goals? We don't do it because we lose the ball too much, too quick in the final third. But that is all I want to say on Bruno, and I wanted to balance my opinion on him, saying I like him, I think he's good, I don't think he suits us as a team. He's been here for 5 or 6 years. He's 30. We shouldn't have given him that contract. And would we look a better side if we went 5 or 6 games without him, with a ball playing 10? You let me know what you think. I know he divides opinion, Bruno. Some people see his stats and what he's done and are just blinded by stats. I look at it more on what I see with my eyes when he's playing. One good pass in 90 minutes doesn't make a performance. And that's what we've talked about under Solskjaer and under early Ten Hag, is with 2 moments FC. And Rashford gets battered for it. He don't do anything all game, and then he'll pop a goal in from nowhere and he gets let off. And I think Fernandes gets away with that because it comes off for him more than Rashford. But to me, it's still not good enough. And what do you think about his contract at 30 years old? A bumper 250,000 a week contract at 30 when he's been here 6 or 7 years. That's something that old Man United do. We're keeping hold of players that Bruno's not past it. I don't want to say that, but he's been here for a long time and we haven't won anything major with him. So is it not time to try something different? And I thought that's what Ineos were doing. Yes, we can't get rid of everybody. Yes, Bruno is an influential player, he's the captain, I get all that. Will Bruno be the captain still in 2 years' time? With De Ligt, Martinez, Ugarte, those types of players now with us and younger. I don't know. Personally, I would let Bruno have the captaincy this season. I would take it off him. And I'll say it, and I've said it loads of times, and nobody's ever acknowledged this or said anything about it on any channels I've seen. Or when we were having results, when Harry Maguire was captain, like we've had in the last season where Bruno's been captain. Harry Maguire was torn to shreds. But for some reason Bruno is allowed to have 4, 5 out of 10 performances week in, week out, and the fan base seems to still think that's okay. Like I said, tell me in the comments, when was the last time Bruno had a game that stood out and you thought, wow, he was unbelievable today against a top side, or even an average side, a top 10 side in the Premier League? I can't remember it. And I know people will say City in the FA Cup, but he wasn't incredible in that game, was he? Yes, we won it, fine, but I don't think in the Premier League he stood out at all. But on to the Palace game. 2 wins, 10 goals, none conceded. Do we win the Palace game? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to stay on the positive note. I think we'll win it 2-1. I think it will be a tough game. And it won't be pretty, I don't think. I don't think we'll be dominating the game. I don't think we'll be dominating performance. I think we'll probably get a couple of goals and it'll be enough to beat Palace. Could they come at us and steamroll us like they did at the end of last year? I don't think so, no. I think we are surer at the back. I don't think we'll get steamrolled. Could we lose the game? I think we could lose the game, yeah. I think we could quite easily see people like Rashford, who's had a good couple of games, go back to his normal self when the going gets tough. I think we could see Xerxes look like he's gone missing again versus a bigger opposition. Garnacho could again be sporadic and erratic. I know people want Garnacho to start, but not last season. If you remember the season before, he was incredible coming off the bench. And so far this season, he's been incredible coming off the bench. I don't think you can start Garnacho now. He's been too effective coming on in games and causing havoc. And then and to me, you'd have to drop Rashford. And there's no way Ten Hag is dropping Rashford when he scored 3 goals in 2 games and got a couple of assists, when he won't drop him when he's not scored since March. So I think it'll be Ahmad, Rashford and Garnacho will be coming off the bench for whichever one of them's playing the worst. There's talk of Højlund being back. I doubt he'll play. It's got to be Xerxes, hasn't it? Jory's still out on Xerxes. I think his link-up play was alright last couple of games, but again, it's against poor opposition. And that's all I've really got to say about the Palace game. I want to see a performance in the Palace game. I don't want to see us turn up against 2 really poor sides, batter them, then we go into a semi-tough game and we go back to the old Man United where we're dominated, we're overrun, we're open, we're lazy up front, we're not tracking back. And it will not be the personnel. If Eriksen starts, it won't be because of Eriksen. If Mainu starts, it won't be because of Mainu. It will be because we're set up like we're set up, and a team like Palace have got physical, athletic midfielders who will overrun us. I'm extremely interested to watch Ugarte against athletic midfielders like Palace have got, to see if he can break the game up like he did the other night. And people say he made a lot of fouls, and he did, and he probably should have been booked. But let's not pretend that Pep Guardiola's sides don't foul people all the time. Prime Barcelona were some of the best tactical foulers on the planet, and Man City are the same. They will take people out, they'll trip people up, they'll pull people's shirt, they'll make silly fouls to stop the opposition in transition, and we do not do that. And I couldn't care less if Ugarte has 15 fouls a game if he's breaking the play up. In fact, I don't mind him having 7 fouls at all. As long as he's not getting sent off, he can foul people as much as he wants. As long as it's in a decent area in midfield, not right round the edge of the box, obviously. But if he's pulling people down on the halfway line, if he's tripping people up inside their own half, if he's pulling people's shirts miles out wide, I've got no problem with that whatsoever. We need to stop teams overrunning us, and if that's the way to do it, do it. I can guarantee you now, you'll see Bernardo Silva if Man City are on tonight in the Champions League. Someone will break on the halfway line, and someone as slight and as little as Bernardo Silva will take someone out, as someone's just chopped me up on a motorway roundabout. Like, there's 2 lanes, mate. You just chopped me up and then gone back into the other lane. What are you doing? But that's what you get on the motorway, absolute idiots. But yeah, back onto Ugarte. That's what I hope to see from Ugarte. Winning the ball back, playing the ball simple, and maybe making the odd driving run from midfield, because from the clips and stuff I've seen of Ugarte, he can pick the ball up and run with it and break the lines running, and that is something we have desperately missed since we lost Paul Pogba. That's one thing Pogba was brilliant at, was receiving the ball deep and driving forward with it, beating their midfield line by just driving with the ball. And Ugarte can do that. He did it a couple of times against Barnsley. But I don't care if he fouls people. Just get the ball off him and give it, like a posh man's Fred. But how long have we been talking for now? 22 minutes. There's not a huge deal to talk about. The couple of games, the positives. Rashford's turning the corner potentially. We'll see that on Saturday. Same with a few of the other players. I'm looking forward to Ugarte in the Premier League. And I just wanted to get my levelled opinion on Bruno and what I think about him, and why I'm so vocal on Bruno a lot of the time, because I see the negative in Bruno. A lot of people see the positive, and it's not because I hate Bruno at all. It's because I think for the team, we need to see the team without him a bit. Whether he needs rest, whether we're a better side with or without him, we need to see the team without Bruno. He's not the future. In the next year to 3 years, Bruno is not going to be there. So we need somebody else to take the mantle off him. Whether it's Mount, whether it's someone else, whether it's Xerxes or someone we haven't bought yet, we need to see this side a bit without Bruno Fernandes in it. And I would love to see 4 or 5 games with somebody else at 10 who likes to keep the ball, and see what the results are. But that's just my personal opinion. Let me know in the comments. I'll start talking about it again. Hit me up on the driving videos. And do you like my checker sunglasses? Cheers, Gary. And yeah, peace out. Like, subscribe. Tell me who your midfielder be against Palace. Tell me what you think about Bruno. And I am going this time. Push.